Right. What's up, guys? So you want to get into the supercar game and potentially work at a supercar dealership. There are probably a few things that you should know to better prepare yourself if you are to transition into the supercar world. For those who don't know, I worked at Gulf Coast Motorworks for 3.5 years as the media director. I did a video a few months back kind of showcasing what it was like to actually work at a supercar dealership, and now I kind of want to go maybe a bit more in depth with things that I have learned from working at a supercar dealership. Just my overall experience, things I've gained from it, the people I've met, and some of the amazing benefits and very few, I guess, cons of working at a place like that. There's a lot of amazing things that happen, a lot of great people you meet. There are a handful of very important things I think everybody ought to know, and so these are 5 important things to know before working at a supercar dealership. All right, guys, so before we continue, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. Really helps out. Hit the notification bell, comment, subscribe, like the video. I appreciate the 520 something subs I have at the moment. A lot of content coming out over the next few weeks, and I do plan on being consistent and not taking these year-long breaks that only hurt the channels. Appreciate it, and let's get back to the video. Starting off at number 1, you get, and you will get, quite desensitized and overall numb to the cars you are working with. This varies differently for everybody. I've loved cars my entire life. Was always around car shows, and so naturally, of course, I'm used to being around cars, but once you start to drive the cars on a daily basis, you really kind of lose some appreciation for how amazing some of the cars are. You notice that you're not freaking out as much. My first day on the job, I was fucking hyped. Okay, I was hyped. I had never had a job that I was genuinely excited to go into on a Monday morning, right? I remember it being a great productive day. We pulled out a bunch of cars for me to shoot. We pulled out like 20 cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLaren, all this good stuff, pointing everyone in the right place, what car goes where. It was great. Great first day. And funny enough, I'd never finished that video. I don't know why. I just never finished it. So it was a big waste of 9 hours, but it was a good first day. And the numbness and the desensitization, I guess, kind of comes for me after about 6 months probably of being there. This becomes apparent when you're in a Pagani Huayra going rather quickly and you don't really realize you're in a Pagani Huayra. Yeah, stuff like, you kind of have to pinch yourself sometimes, and I did. There were a few times where I would be in a car that I could only have dreamed of being when I was a kid. And don't get me wrong, I still had an amazing time when I was in that car, but you kind of have to pinch yourself sometimes, and you kind of forget just how fortunate you are sometimes to be in these cars. This is not a normal industry. It's a very special place, and because of that, you should really appreciate and have a firm grasp on reality, just how lucky you are to be in a position like this. That's number 1, is that you do get desensitized. That's really the only downside of working at a place like that, but you get desensitized to anything you do. If you're around boats every day for years, you're going to get used to boats. Next on the list, you're going to have to be able to take roasts, okay? You're going to have to be able to take some heat. And what I mean by that is joking around and roasting is very common in the industry. I mean, especially more so my dealership. Like I said, it varies from place to place. But my place, oh yeah, you're gonna have to just accept it. Okay, if somebody tells you you have a small wiener, you're just gonna have to take it. Like you have to just accept. Okay, you can't fight it. You do have to kind of have some thick skin. Now, again, it's different for every dealership. Where I was, a lot of funny roasting would happen, and it was never like anything that was super offensive or anything, but it was things that people would poke fun at with each person, even my boss. You do kind of have to be ready for that, again, depending on where you are, but where I was, as you can see in some of the videos, perhaps, a lot of really funny things that were said, many that could not go on camera, but yeah, it's a good time. Most likely, even if you're not in sales, you are still going to have to learn how to talk to customers to some extent. You don't have to, break down all the deals for them or whatever, but you do have to learn how to approach people and how to generally help customers whenever the salespeople are not there or they're busy. So you do need to be informed generally about these cars. It doesn't have to be like crazy, nerdy, every little spec, every little, this tenth of a second more than this car. Like you don't have to know that. Like it's okay if you do. Trust me, I was like that too. But there were many times when customers would come in there and sit in the cars without asking permission. And some of these customers you do have to deal with, of course, politely and professionally. Moving on, it is okay to be yourself. This kind of ties in with the last point I made, as it can come into play around customers and just people in general. There's a certain impression that some salesmen can kind of give off. Authenticity goes a long way. And customers really appreciate the lighthearted joking around, not being so fake and serious. And when you're authentic, it helps build trust with the customers. At least in my opinion, I've noticed that it really does. They really appreciate when you are just honest about things. You give your thoughts on what you think is best for the customer, and they really, really appreciate that. So I did learn that it's okay to just crack a joke every now and then with a customer or lay loose, as long as you're still providing professional value and service. As long as everyone was getting their work done, the boss was okay with having a good time, being a little kind of laid back with each other. You can really see this in the weekly vlog videos that we used to post on our YouTube channel. You can go watch them right now. There are 3 seasons actually, and you can really see the kind of authentic behavior that everybody kind of promotes in the videos. There's a lot, as I said, roasting that goes on and just funny behavior that happens, but it's nothing that's too, let's say, controversial. It's all just natural and funny and just people having a good time and enjoying the industry as a whole. But if you go and watch any of these videos and you see the parts of me talking to the camera, you might notice that there are times where I kind of give a very laid back, lackadaisical approach to presenting, and that was on purpose. That's because I just wanted to kind of be myself. And the mirrors, so actually it looks pretty cool. It sounds so like cheesy. It looks pretty cool. Looks pretty sick. And there were times where I would mess up the names of the cars on camera. Just got in this 2019 Ferrari GTC4 Lusso. Just got this Ferrari GTC4 Lusso, and just kind of keep it in there because it just kind of showed that I wasn't this trying to be somebody who's perfect kind of person. And you can notice that if you go watch any of those videos, a lot of us kind of have that approach to things. But of course, many of the videos were still pretty educational and kind of broadly would explain some of the cars that we had in there. Some dealerships might be way more uptight, and I know for a fact that there are a lot of those. But fortunately, where I was, it was much more laid back. Number 5, the final point: learn how to build your network and be ready for lots of collaborations. One of the most valuable things for sure are the connections and just the people you meet along the way. But being able to talk to some of these customers and pick their brains and really get their perspectives on certain things, certain cars. And like we talked about earlier, just being able to joke around with them and just have like a lighthearted conversation with. It's always fun to engage in a convo with some of these people, and many of them I still keep in touch with. It's always fun picking their brain and getting their perspective on cars. Some people will walk in there and they're big Porsche guys, and they, maybe they're a collector or they've been to Sebring before, and it's always a good time. They'd always ask questions of cars that I knew nothing about. I knew so much about the majority of the cars that were in the showroom at all times, except for 1 or 2 of like the old classic muscle cars that I honestly don't know much about, and those are always the cars that customers asked me about, and I always felt like an idiot. If you're in more so my position, which is the media side of things, not as much sales, though it could still happen with sales, but it's to get ready for people wanting to collaborate with you, and that is 100% okay because I love collaborating, so I'm all in for it. I'd always get messages of people wanting to come in and, hey, you know, can we shoot this car? Can we get some rollers of this car? Collaborations, just be ready for a lot of those. Coming back to the vlog videos, if you do go back and watch any of them, not all of them are as eventful, but there are many of them where a lot of really crazy things happened in some of the videos. All completely candid. Nothing was staged in those videos, which is part of the reason why I like watching them so much, is because everything that happened literally just happened. There's a lot of crazy things that happen, but again, it's all subjective. That could just be my experience. Maybe I just work at a crazy fucking place and didn't even realize it. Oh, dude. I'm assuming that there's probably some similarities between many dealerships, and Gulf Coast Motorworks was an incredibly fun place to work. So that about wraps it up for today. I highly recommend getting into this industry. I'm aware that I think Gulf Coast Motorworks is a bit of a unique situation. Maybe not every place is quite so laid back and memorable perhaps as Gulf Coast Motorworks, but it doesn't matter. There are so many amazing companies to work for and so many great places to work for. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.